Okay, so Ayin Hiyam at Beis, and I'm sorry, Ayin Hiyam at Aleph, second line. I'm Rav Yehuda Marav. Rav Yehuda said name Rav. So the Gemara until now was talking about being Meiser Nefesh and whether you have to be Mekadosh Shem Shemayim and Yehareg Val Yavar. So the Gemara says, I'm Rav Yehuda Marav. Rav Yehuda said name Rav. Meiser, there's a story. Ba'adamecha, there's a guy. Shnasan Einav Bi'ish Achas. He put his eyes on a woman. He desired a woman. Ve'elu li betina, and Rashi says it messed up his mind, and it was making him sick. And he came and they asked in English you would say he was pining for her, but it physically made him sick. And they came and asked the doctors, this guy is not going to get better until he is boil this woman. So Amru Chacham, they just asked the Shiloh, what should we do? Amru Chacham, so the Chacham said, Yamas Valti Ba'alai, he should die rather than being boiled in. So they asked, follow-up question. So maybe Tamal Lefan of Aruma, let her stand in front of him naked, and he'll be, the tina, the messed up in his mind that he has from this will be maybe solved, and then he'll get healed. So the answer, Yamas Val Tamal Lefan of Aruma, he should die rather than her standing. What? That's what they said. Yeah, you're on the same page. Yeah. Well, what was that? Shiloh was it's kind of the Fasha Shiloh. That was the Shiloh. The Shiloh is the Remember, we're talking the Sugi of Yehareg Val Yavar over here, right? So the Shiloh is this a Yehareg Val Yavar? Right? That's what it says. That's what they were certainly afraid of that, right? And that's what they said.
Yamos. How is he suffering? It just says he was. How could he be cured?
Yeah, but it says he got sick, and he got sick to the degree that they were worried about him, because otherwise the Rabban would have said if he had a cold. What?
Also, they go crazy.
Yeah. Well, the story only gets better. So they said, okay, look, he can't go, and she can't go and stand in front of him naked, and he can't go and beguile her. Maybe let him speak with her, or she should speak with him from behind the fence. In other words, that they let them speak privately. So the Gemara says, they shouldn't even do that. So the plea of Rabbi Yaakov Barid Rabbi Shmuel Bar Nachmani. There's machlekes Rabbi Yaakov Barid and Rabbi Shmuel Bar Nachmani in what pshat in this ma'aseh was. What was the context over here? Chanam Reishus Eshaisa. One said she was married. If they said it's just davar pashat, it's chenek, it's her ski, it's her Mrs. Bezdin. Of course, you can't be makel in that. The Chanam who one says pnuya. She was not married. So if she's pnuya, it's much less of an issue we're talking about over here. So for Mar Bishlam and Mandam Reisha Seshais, he's a shaper. So we understand according to Mandam Reisha Seshais, very good. That it's an issue. There's no problem, and certainly there's no problems in understanding the Gemara why we said Chazal said it was Aser. And certainly I just want to stick in a little parenthetical that the Chazal did not feel that this is the situation of Secharas Nefashos would require her husband to give her a get to be able to marry her, right? That certainly doesn't seem to even been a having over here. But according to the Mandamra that she's Pnuya, what's the big deal? What was this is not nearly as big of an issue. And for the Gemara, what? The Gemara's going to talk about that. And for the Gemara, Rav Papa Amar Pekam Mishpacha. Rav Papa says because of Pekam Mishpacha, it would have messed up, embarrassed the family of the woman, and you can't do that. You just can't do that. It makes a generational impact. And we saw this a few times already. So Ibn Nara Marasa, the reason why the Misa is so much more chamer was because of Pekam Mishpacha. Rav Achabrid, Rav Ika Amar Kadesh Lehu B'nei Yisrael Prutzis Barayis. The Rav Achabrid, Rav Ika says a different reason, so that the B'nai Yisrael shouldn't be Prutzis Barayis, and Rashi explains so that they should be standing in front of men who will look at them and bring them to Bia. So Frak the Gemara, your question, Rabbi Yitzi, V'lin Seva Minsav, let him have married her. According to Manda Amar, that she was a Pnuya, they would have gotten married. Where it says, it's a fascinating psychological insight. Where it says, Loim Yasva Daite. he wouldn't have gotten better from that. Kid Rav Yitzchak, like Rav Yitzchak, very good. Rav Yitzchak says, "V'yem shachar Beis Hamikdash, from the day that Beis Hamikdash was destroyed, nitla tam bia, the tam of bia was taken away, v'nitna leivrei avera, and is given to Ivrei Avera. Shnem, like the pasuk says, Mayim geduvim yumtaku, stolen water is sweet, v'lechem saram yinam, and bread in the hidden is sweet." And Rashi says lechem is like the same lashon we have by Yosef and Potifar, ki amal lechem asher oichal. So the pasuk is talking about in lashon nikia, but it's saying that the Ivrei Avera, the ones who are doing something that they know is wrong, that gives them the extra hana. And this guy, if he would have done it in a way that's okay, then he would not have been. It would not have helped, and wouldn't have done anything. Yeah. Hajin lachman seramira masatan. Okay, next paragraph. Eluhin and Esrafin.
Yeah,
so we talked.
Understand the guy had a time for one lady only, right?
Mm-hmm.
So now he married her, so it's goodbye. He married her. What's?
He wouldn't have gotten better. That's right. They're saying that this.
He had time for this woman, but now married her. He's finished. Goodbye.
No, but mine genugim is more geschmack.
He had a time
another one.
No. If he wasn't married, it's more geschmack than having.
He didn't have a taiva for the woman. He had a taiva for this woman who was usher to him.
Now that
Right?
it
wouldn't have to be a taiva. Right. The alien and the Shafin. The Mishnah says these are the people who get the einish of Sreifa. Habal Isha Ubita, somebody who is Bayal, an Isha and a Bita. Pashab Shat and Isha Bita sounds like his wife, a woman, and her daughter. But we're going to see that this Mishnah, very little is Pashat in this Mishnah. We'll try to see what we can see. I'm not even sure we're going to finish the Gemara today. But we'll see. Uvas Kain Shizinsa, and a Bas Kain who was Mazana, we know that she gets Sreifa. We had this earlier on. Yesh Bechlal Isha Bita, when we talk about Isha Bita, which are mafurish in the pasuk, because what's the pasuk? The pasuk says, a man who takes a woman and her mother, zimahi, it's a zima. Be'esh yisreifu, they should be burned in fire. Oisai him ve'eshen and them. V'leisi a zima b'sechem, and you shouldn't have zima amongst you. What? We're going to hold off. You're asking good questions, but then we're just going to talk about this. But the point is, this is the pasuk says. The point says a woman and her mother, okay, and that's what the Mishnah starts off as saying, Isha Obita, and then the Mishnah says Yesh B'chal Isha Obita. You would also include, it's not mafurish in the pasuk like Isha Obita is, but you would also include the following based on drashas, like the Gemara is going to explain. And what do we include? You include Bitai, his daughter. His daughter doesn't mean his legal daughter. It means he was ma'ana somebody. No, his biological daughter, but not a legal daughter. He was ma'ana somebody. He raped a woman, and they had a daughter, and now he's mazana with the daughter also. Okay, that's Bitai. That's his daughter. So it's biologically his daughter. What?
Mother.
Right, because he already has mazana with the mother. Right?
That's why
when he's ma'anis the mother.
It's not the same day. It's a matter of...
Yeah, it could have been years later, right? Uvas Bitai and Uvas Benai, and his daughter's daughter and his son's daughter, right? So it means his granddaughter, whether it's his son's daughter. But again, Rashi explains that we're talking about, this is not his legal granddaughter, it's his anusa. He was ma'anis a woman, and then she had a daughter or a son, and then that daughter or son had a daughter, and now he's mazana with his granddaughter, right? Uvas Ishtai, and his wife's daughter, and his wife's daughter could be two. It could be either his stepdaughter, his wife had a daughter, or his real daughter that they had together. You know, legally, Chupah Kedushin, everything's kosher. I mean, except the fact that he's mazana with his daughter, that's not kosher. But the other parts were kosher. Uvas Bita, Uvas Bina, and his daughter or his stepdaughters, in other words, his wife's daughter, or they're both together daughter, their daughter's daughter, or their son's daughter. Chamaisai is his mother-in-law. The aim Chamaisai and his mother-in-law's mother. ve'em chamav, and his father-in-law's mother. All these cases we learn now from drashas that they're included also in Isha Obita. But I just want to point out to you that we didn't say yet what Isha Obita is. Right? The Mishnah says Isha Obita, and you started asking me, are they married? If they're not married, they said, hold off, right? We don't know yet what Isha Obita is. The Gemara is going to right away throw us into what Isha Obita is. Zak the Gemara, Habal Isha shenasa bita loikatani. It doesn't say in the Mishnah somebody who was bayal, a woman, and whose daughter he had married. If you do the math in your head, if somebody is bayal, a woman whose daughter he had married, means that he's bayal his mother-in-law. He had married the daughter, and he was bayal the mother. Right? That's what it would mean. What? His daughter's mother.
My wife's mother.
What do you mean his daughter's mother?
Not his daughter's mother.
Wife's mother. Mother-in-law.
Yeah. The daughter's mother, but the daughter is the one he married. Reuven, his mother-in-law. Right. Reuven married Shprinza, and he was also bayal Shprinza's mother. Right? It does not say that in the Mishnah. Okay? So, what's going on over here? What's the Gemara saying? The Mishnah said, Yesh b'chal Isha Obita, all these cases. Included in Isha Obita is all these cases, right? So, what do you see? You see that Isha Obita is the language of the Pasuk, and that is, and that's the first case the Mishnah says. But all the other ones are not said in the pasuk, and that's why the Mishnah says Yesh b'chal Isha Obita. All the following cases, the 6 or 8 or whatever cases that the Mishnah said, right? So that's what the Mishnah. That's what we see from the Mishnah itself. So now, if it means that the guy was bayal, his wife and his wife's mother, when the pasuk says Isha ves ima, one second.
That's second line from the top. Shapsi Omar Chisi Yamashuk Tata. And now we're saying a new understanding of the Mishnah.
Being with his mother-in-law.
It's not what it means, I don't think. Okay, let's learn through this Rashi because it gets a little complicated. Let's look in the first Rashi on the Gemara, okay? Habal isha shenasa bita loikatani. Claimer. Whenever Rashi says claimer, it means not like Pashut Shat. Don't read it plain. It means the following. Claimer, mechti. Let's see. With the Ketani Seifa yesh b'chal v'chulu. Since the end of the Mishnah says, let's include. We include in Isha Obita. We include Bita, Bas Panai, Bas Ishtai. All those cases. Miklal Dai Isha Obita b'hanach t'ksivan Mairi. So we see that when it says in the pasuk Isha Obita, and we say it earlier in the Mishnah Isha Obita, we're talking about the Isha Obita that says in the pasuk. It can't be talking about his wife and his wife's daughter. Why? It has to be talking about his mother-in-law. Why? The Sreifa Ksivba, because it says Sreifa by the mother-in-law. So it says, we have 2 psukim. It says, Ervas Isha Obita Loisagala, the erva of a woman and her daughter, you shouldn't be Megala. Don't be Mezana with a woman and her daughter. That's one pasuk. That's a pasuk and that pasuk does not say anything about Sreifa. There's a different pasuk, 2 brakim later in Vayikra, it says, Isha Shigachas Isha Bes Ima, a person who is bayil, a woman and her mother, Zimahi, Beishi Sreifu, they should get burned. Right? Our Mishnah, what's Elu Hein on the Shafin? We're talking about Sreifa, right? So, if we're saying, and it's obvious, as you pointed out, Isha Obita is the same as Isha V'chamaisa, right? In other words, it's 2 women separated Ishtay v'chamaisei. What? Chamaisei is his mother-in-law. So his wife and his mother-in-law are also going to be Isha Bita, right? It's the same thing, right? Right. Okay. So it must be talking about his mother-in-law, the Shreifa Ksiva, because that's where the pasuk talks about Shreifa. So when it says Habal Ha'isha, that's the first case in the Mishnah, it can't be talking about his wife. It should have said somebody who's boil a woman and her mother, because that's the pasuk by Shreifa. The pasuk says, "For isha sheyikach isha v'es ima ve'isha shreifel," right? V'inami hach isha achamaisi kamar. And even if you'll tell me when it says isha, it's talking about his mother-in-law. Then havle lemisnaya habala isha, which is talking about his mother-in-law. Shenasa bita, whose daughter he had married. Dahainu chamaisa. Right? By sticking that word nasa in, you make the isha not his wife, make the isha his mother-in-law, and the bitai the one he married. Halakatani, and it doesn't say that. Ella habal isha bita. It says a woman and her daughter. You see that both of them are for Isser, and it doesn't say Ishtay Lakan over here. So who is it got to be? The only people it could be Chamaisei ve'en Chamaisei. We said it can't be his wife, so it has to be a different Ishtay Uvita, his mother-in-law, and his mother-in-law's mother. So his grandmother-in-law, right? Right, his wife's grandmother. And this is what the Mishnah is saying. Habal ein chamaisai. When it says habal isha, it means somebody who was boil his mother-in-law's mother, oy albita, or her daughter, which is his mother-in-law. Right? So go back 2 generations, then go back 1 generation. Dahainu chamaisi, which is mother-in-law. Uktani, and then it says yesh b'chal isha bita kuluhanach. In those, that isha bita, the mother-in-law and her mother, the grandmother, that's all includes the bas bitai, bas benai, bas ishtay, bas benai, all those other cases. What? The way the Mishnah is set up, it's saying that the Torah says Isha Bita. Right?
That could be the mother and the mother.
That's Mefurish.
Okay.
And the Torah is Marbe, all these other cases. Bitay, Bas Bitay, Bas B'nai, Bas Ishtay, Bas
Either the
Bitay, Bas
mother-in-law's
B'nai.
daughter or the mother-in-law's mother. Up and down.
So right. So for the Gemara's having this, it's talking about the mother-in-law and the daughter who he's married to.
Now
the Gemara is saying that doesn't make sense because that's not the pasuk that says by Shreifa Isha Shigach is Isha Ves Ima. Right? The only way you could have that pasuk work out is if that the Isha in the Mishnah is the mother-in-law and Ima is the mother-in-law's mother. Right? And it says included in those 2 people, the mother-in-law and the mother-in-law's mother, are included all these people. So you see that it must be that the mother-in-law and the mother-in-law's mother are in the pasuk Mefurish. Okay? So in a nutshell, what Rashi just did was, Rashi demonstrated that it has to be, and this is what the Gemara is saying, that it has to be Isha Abita is talking about the mother-in-law and the mother-in-law's mother-in-law. The mother-in-law's mother, thank you. And not only that, those are Mefurish in the pasuk. And the Gemara's problem right now is, where are you going to have that Mefurish in the pasuk? And the Gemara is going to say it's totally in a machlekes, really totally in 2 machlekes. Okay, a machlekes Amiram and a machlekes Tanakh. Let's see what's going on. It doesn't say someone who's boil a woman whose daughter he had married. In other words, he's boil his daughter, his wife, and his mother-in-law. His wife is allowed. Right. So he married Shanasa Bita, right? So he married the daughter, right? And now he's boiled the woman who is his mother-in-law.
You can't do that to her.
Right. Ella Habal Isha Bita. It just says Habal Isha Bita, and like Rashi says, that's got to be talking about the mother-in-law and the mother-in-law's mother. Miklal the Tavayuli Surah. It must be that both are for Isser. Umaninu, who are those women and the daughter that are Isser? It must be, like we said, Chamaisa ve'em Chamaisa, his mother-in-law and his mother-in-law's mother. B'Ktani, and the Mishnah says, Yesh B'chlal Isha Vita, that included in Isha Vita are the following. Miklal, the Tavayu Ksidi Behedya. So it must be Chamaisa and Em Chamaisa are first in the Pasuk. Vahanach, and the other ones, or the whole rest of the list in the end of the Mishnah, Midrasha Asya. We learn out from a drasha. So far, this is everything Rashi says. Practic Gemara, Hanich Labaya Damar Mashmas Darshan Ikabenayu Mesti Simani Rabbi Kiva. This is good according to Abayu, who says the Machlaikes. We'll explain in a second what this means. The Machlaikes between Rabbi Shmuel and Rabbi Kiva is Mashmas Darshan, and we'll explain in a second what this means. Then the Mishnah is Rabbi Kiva. El Rava Damar Chamaisa Lachar Misa Ikabenayu Mesti Simani. But according to Rav, who says that the nafkamina between Rabbi Kiva and Rabbi Shmuel is by a mother-in-law after she died, then who's the Mishnah? What's going on over here? So the Gemara goes, there's a machlekes on tomorrow's daf between Rabbi Shmuel and Rabbi Kiva, and we're not going to go into that just yet. And according to Abaya, according to Abaya, according to Rabbi Kiva, the mother-in-law and the mother-in-law's mother are mefurish in the Mishnah. So then, first in the pasuk, I mean. So then it's very good. Abaya says the Tana of our Mishnah is Rabbi Kiva, and Rabbi Kiva learns out in the pasuk of the mother-in-law and the mother-in-law's mother. But according to Rava, who says that the machlekes between Rabbi Shmuel and Rabbi Kiva is not saying. Is not coming to be marba another generation up after before his mother-in-law. It's coming to say instead that if his wife died, his mother-in-law is still usher, right? Right, we did have this a long time ago. Yes. So then, according to Rava, you don't have in the pasuk the mother-in-law's mother. So if that's the case, who's going to be the Tana of our Mishnah? That's the Gemara's kasha. And for the Gemara, Amelacha Rava. Rava tells you a very simple answer. Learn instead, stick instead in the Mishnah. Instead of saying Habal Isha Ubita, say Habal Isha Shanas Ubita. Someone who is Bayal, a woman whose daughter he had married already before. In other words, that we're talking about when it says Isha, it's talking about the mother-in-law. Right? Isha is the mother-in-law, and Bita is the daughter who he had married already. Right? So then we're not talking about
that mother-in-law's mother.
Right, we're not talking about the mother-in-law's mother according to Rabbah. Okay. Now the Mishnah, the Gemara starts explaining the Mishnah. Yesh Bechal Isha Bita, included in Isha Bita is Chamaisai, and remember we have two pshatim in what Isha Bita is. We include Chamaisai, his mother-in-law, the Ein Chamaisai, his mother-in-law's mother, the Ein Chamav, and his father-in-law's mother. Le Abaya, according to Abaya, who said the Mishnah is Rabbi Kiva, and it's talking about the mother-in-law and the mother-in-law's mother. I did the Gabayah Levistay, Ein Chamav, Kaninami Ein Chamaisai. Gemara is asking, why does that say Ein Chamaisai? According to Abaya, Isha is the Ein Chamaisai. Right? So Ebita is Chamaisai. Why do you have to say it again in Chamaisai? So the Gemara answers, since it wanted to say, according to Abai, since it's going to say Ein Chamav, his father-in-law's mother, and we didn't say that yet, so we include also, it makes sense to include Ein Chamaisai, the mother-in-law's mother. It's like a list, and in the list, this makes sense to be in the list. That's why it says the Rava, according to Rava, I did the Kabbalah Mishnah Eim Chamav ve'Eim Chamaisai. According to Rava, it has to say Eim Chamav. We didn't have that, and Eim Chamaisai because Isha Bita does not include his mother-in-law's mother. So therefore, Taninami Chamaisai, it says his mother-in-law who is already in the ratio of the Mishnah also. But either way, the Mishnah said either one or two things extra because we're saying a whole list of here. Okay, how do you know this? How do you know all these relations being included in the pasuk? So the Gemara says the Tanna Rabbanan, we learned in a brisa like this. That this brisa, some of it is going to be obvious, and some of it is going to be very, very sussum, and then the Gemara spends the rest of the Amud on Amud Beis explaining the brisa. Tan Rabbanan learned. A man was bayal, a woman and her mother. I only know the woman and her mother. Bas isha or bas bita. If Uvaspina minayin. How do you know a woman and her daughter, or a woman and her daughter's daughter, or a woman and her son's daughter? Nemar kan zima, v'nemar lalan zima. It says zima twice. We'll say the second in a second. Ma'alalan bito vaspina, afkan bito vaspina. Just like over there is bas bita and baspina also, and bita. So too here also is bita, baspina. What are the two psukim? We already said there's two psukim. One pasuk says by the pasuk by Streifa, by the Einish. A person who takes a woman and her mother, it's zima of Eisha Streifa, they should get burned. That's one pasuk. The second pasuk is Ervas Isho Vita Leisagala, the nakedness of a woman and her daughter you should not uncover. Is Baspina, her daughter's daughter. I'm sorry, is Baspina, her son's daughter. As Baspita and her daughter's daughter, Leisikach, you shouldn't take Legalis or Vasa to uncover their erva. Shar Rahena, they're related. Zima, it is Zima. So now, the first pasuk says Shreifa, and it says the word Zima. And it's talking about a mother and a daughter. Here also we're talking about a mother and a daughter. It doesn't say Streifa, but it does say Zima. Bryce is saying you make Xer Shava. And just like by the pasuk of without the Streifa, it says Baspina and Baspita are included, so too the pasuk with the Streifa we include Baspina and Baspita, and that's why they're also going to be Chayiv Streifa. Now, frak the Gemara, frak the Brisa, Menayin lasses Charim Kinekavis. How do you know that you should make Charim like Nekavis? Make males like females?
Why not?
The Gemara doesn't say what it means, Brisa doesn't say. And Rashi says, over here, a few lines, he says, the Gemara is going to explain. Right? Because Rashi doesn't explain this is really going to be the Gemara. So the Gemara says, how do you know, whatever this means, not making males like females, whatever that means, how do you know it? The Gemara says, Nemer kan zima, v'nemer la lan zima. It says in one pasuk zima, it says in the other pasuk zima. Ma la lan zcharim kinkevis. Just like over there, males are like females. Afkan zcharim kinkevis. Over here also, right? Where's going to say two pshat? So too over here, zcharim are like kinkevis. Frak the Gemara, Menayin lasas lamata kol mala. How do you know that you make the bottom like the top? The Gemara doesn't say what the bottom is, and the Gemara doesn't say what the top is. The Bryce doesn't say. The Gemara says, Never kan zima v'nemer lalan zima. When it says before zima, and it says here zima, mala la lamata kol mala. Just like over there, the bottom is like the top, and doesn't explain what that is. Afkan lamata kol mala. Here also, the bottom is like the top. And just like over here, the top is like the bottom. Afla over there also, the top is like the bottom. Okay, this is very cryptic, right? Cryptic, yeah, very cryptic. Amar, we learned. How do you know that to make Zecharim like Nekevis? What is this? Make males like females. If you're going to try to say that, I'll tell you what it means. It makes a lot of sense. That just like the Bas Bita is going to be Chayiv, in other words, his daughter's daughter, if he has listen with his wife, if he's boiled his wife, and he's boiled his wife's daughter's daughter, granddaughter, right?
It's down.
That's down, but we don't know what down means, right? But it is down. But that's a keva, right? In other words, his wife's daughter's daughter. So maybe you wouldn't know if his wife's son's daughter, if he's boiled, that would be wrong. So make this hard like a keva and say, just like the his wife's daughter's daughter will be usher, so his wife's right? His wife's son's daughter will be usher. Yeah?
No, his wife's son's, that's granddaughter.
Both are his granddaughter. His wife's daughter's daughter is his granddaughter, and his wife's son's daughter is his granddaughter. Right? Both of them. But maybe you think only his wife's daughter's daughter is Esther, not his wife's son's daughter.
I don't know why you exclude her.
Strike the Gemara. I don't know why you would exclude it. Because we learn it from the same place. The Gemara says, We learned them from the same pasuk. We said that the pasuk that says Eros Isha Vitloy Segala, it's Bas Ben Nova, it's Bas Bita, her son's daughter and her daughter's daughter, Loisita Klagala Sarvasa. So you can't learn one without the other. And we said there's Xer Shava, Zima Zima, to attach that to the pasuk of Shrefa. You can't learn one without the other. So what's the Havamina to say that you have to say a new Menayin, etc., etc.? What do you need that? Ella, Aim Chamav came Chamaisai. So must be the other way around. We were going down. Now let's go up, and it's going to say that maybe it's telling you that the mother-in-law's mother is going to be a keva. In other words, his wife's mother's mother is going to be just like. I'm sorry, I should start the other way. His father-in-law's mother. Right? His wife's father's mother is going to be usher just like his wife's mother's mother. That's Harm Kinekeva. His wife's father is a Zachar, his wife's mother is a Nekeva. So his wife's father's mother is usher just like his wife's mother's mother.
Any female from the father or mother. Female from the father's side or the mother's side.
Yeah, but the question is, so maybe this is coming to say that, I don't want to say any female, it's a little more complicated than that. But we were saying that just like you would think that the father-in-law's, the mother-in-law's mother is usher, but maybe not the father-in-law's mother. So we're saying we make this charim kinekavis, just like the father-in-law's mother will be usher, just like the mother-in-law's mother will be usher. In fact, the Gemara, if you're going to tell me that that's what Pshat is, we haven't yet learned out, we said in the Mishnah, we haven't yet learned out a makar for the mother-in-law's mother to be usher. We don't know this yet. And the Mishnah is already coming to say, the Bryce is already coming to say, the halach is by the father-in-law's mother. In other words, we're skipping a step here. We're sort of going, we're running before we can walk. So it doesn't make sense to say that that's what the Bryce means. So what does the Bryce mean? So, Amrabaya, Abaye says, Hachikama. This is what it's saying. Minayin lasas she'er haba mimenu ki she'er haba mimena. How do you know that the she'er, the relative that comes from him, is like the she'er that comes from her? And the answer is Nemrakan Zima v'Nemran Zima v'chulu. What's going on over here? So what's going on over here is that Abaye says that it's not talking about mother-in-laws or granddaughters, it's talking about him and his wife. And it's saying like this: how do you know that his wife and their daughter and their granddaughter, whether it's the son's daughter or the daughter's daughter, I'm sorry, how do you know that a relative who comes okay. When it says Zachar and Nekeva over here, it's talking about he's the Zachar and his wife is the Nekeva. And what it's saying is not the mother-in-law or not the grandson, right, or the son's daughter, right? It's talking about him and his wife. And it's saying like this: how do you know that a relative who comes from him, and I'll explain in a second what that means, is like a relative who comes from her? The guy's married. Reuven and Shprinza are here married. They have a happy marriage. Everything's going very nice. Then what happens is he goes and he's ma'anas somebody. Reuven goes and ma'anas a lady, right? And he has a baby with her. Suddenly his marriage is not so happy anymore. And now they have a kid. Now you would think that maybe if he's legally married to somebody and has a kid, or he's illegally was mizana with somebody, is ma'anas somebody and has a kid, the halacha should be the same. But Rashi says that it's still his daughter. Rashi says that's not how the pasuk looks at it. The pasuk looks at these are two separate categories. And then the Gemara's question is, and what the Bryce is saying is, how do you know that the relatives who came, in other words, his daughter that he had with the lady he was ma'anas, is the same halacha as the daughter he had with his wife who he's legally married to? How do you? Yes, exactly. And if he's mizana with his daughter from his anusa, it's going to be the same streifa as his daughter from his legally chuppah and kedushin. Right. And that's what the Gemara is saying. Zcharim k'nekeves. How do you know that a relative who came through the zachar, through the husband, is the same as the relative who came through the nekeva, who is legally married to? Right? That's what the Gemara is saying. And the answer to that is the Bryce is saying Nemer kan zima, v'nemer lalan zima, and to tell you that it's the same. Frak the Gemara, but b'sher didei like siva beizima. By she'er didei, by the children of his anusa, it doesn't say the word zima because you learned it out from a different pasuk. It says. One pasuk says, "Ervas bas bincha bas bitchel tzigala ervasan ki ervas chayina." One pasuk says, "The erva of your daughter or your daughter's daughter." I'm sorry, the erva of your son's daughter or your daughter's daughter. You should not be megala or your erva. That's where you learn out the pasuk, the halacha of anusasai. And over there, it doesn't say the word zima. So how can you say nemer kan zima of nemer lalan zima? You don't have the gzer shava. You're missing the word zima. You don't have it. And for the Gemara, Amarava says, Amali Rav Yitzchak bar Avdimi. Rav Yitzchak bar Avdimi said to me, Asya heina, Asya zima. These are chained gzer shavas. There's 2 gzer shavas in a series. One says, by the pasuk I just said, Ervas bas bincha bas bitcha. This is the pasuk by Anusa. It says, Leisigala ervasan ki ervascha heina. And then it says, by the pasuk of Isha Obita, without the pasuk of Sreifa, the pasuk says, Ervas Isha Obita Leisigala, Espas Panav, Espas Bit, Leisika Hagala Shavasa, Shara Heina Zimahi. So now we learn one Heina to the other Heina. And by this second Heina, where it says Heina, it also says Zima. And now we learn that Zima to the other Zima that says the halacha of Sreifa, which is Bisha Shrika Chesdisha Vesima Zimahi Beishi Sreifa. So you're learning a chain reaction of Gzer Shavas over here to say that if a person is ma'anas a woman and then is mizana with the daughter who is born from that or the granddaughter who is born from that, he gets straight. Right? And if they do it, if they do Lubaretzin, they all get straight. But okay. Okay. I'm sorry. The ma'anis, I shouldn't say that. The lady who is ma'anis cannot get streifa because he was ma'anis, right? But the daughter, if she does a baratzin, she can get streifa. Or the granddaughter, if she does baratzin. Okay. But right. But I said they would all get streifa. The truth is, if they, in the case of his wife, they would all, if they were all involved, they would get streifa, they would get streifa. But the ma'anis, by definition, it's against streifa, right? Okay. Alamar, we learned. That was now we're up to the next piece of the brisa. Minayin lasis lamata kol mala. How do you know to make the bottom like the top? Frak the Gemara, my lamata kol mala. What does it mean? Lamata kol mala, the bottom like the top. Ilema vaspino vaspita kibita. If you're going to say that the daughter of the son or the daughter of his daughter are like his daughter, in other words, a granddaughter is just like a daughter, so you're making the bottom, the granddaughter, the later generation, like Kalamala, like the generation above her, like the daughter. We learned that all from the same pasuk. You don't need zima to tell you that. That's what's first in the pasuk where it says the daughter and the basmina and basmita. Ella, aim chamav, the aim chamaisek. Say the other way around. Instead of going down a couple of generations, go up a couple of generations and say that his mother's mother and his mother-in-law's mother and his father-in-law's mother are like his mother-in-law. Right? That's what lamata kalmala means. In fact, the Gemara, hi lamata kalmala. That's not lamata kalmala. The bottom is like the top. Lamala kalmata. It should be like the top is like the bottom. But the Gemara is saying like this. Let's say you do it graphically, okay, visually. You have the wife, the mother-in-law, the mother-in-law's mother, right?
So the mother and grandma.
Daughter,
Wife and grandma.
wife, mother-in-law, grandmother, right? 3 generations, okay? Who's more pashut that's going to be usher? The wife, for sure, usher, right? Now, the wife and her mother is more pashut to be usher, or the wife and her grandmother are more pashut? The mother, right? So then, do you say, well, we say that...
The male side.
What?
The male side.
Oh, forget the male side. I want to talk about the generations. So would it make sense to say that the bottom one, the mother-in-law, is like the top one, the mother-in-law's mother? That doesn't make sense because the top one, there's less of a Sarah to Aser. It should say the other way around. It should say Lamala Kalamata. The grandmother, the mother-in-law's mother, is like the mother-in-law. Right? So in fact, the Gemara, the language, the bottom and tops don't match. It's the wrong way. In fact, the Gemara, Hai Lamata Kalamala, that's saying, that's Lamata Kalamala, the bottom one is like the top one. No, it's the other way around. Lamala Kalamata, it should be the top one is like the bottom one. The grandmother is like the mother-in-law. And for the Gemara, you're right. Tani Lamala Kalamata. Stick that in, change the brisa, and say it's Lamala Kalamata. In fact, the Gemara, fine. So now that's shot in the brisa, you tell me. Ihachi nemer kanzima of nemer lalan zima. You're saying it says over here zima and it says over here zima. Frak tomorrow mahashta ini like siva zima did hooks. Ini like siva zima did hooks siva. The problem is that the mother-in-law's zima is not written. Right. The mother-in-law's mother and the mother-in-law and the father-in-law's mother are not written in the pasuk, and you're telling me that they have a zima where it says Nemer kan zima, nemer lalan zima. There's no place in the pasuk where they're saying it. You can't link it. You don't have a zera shava over here. So Amar Abaye says, I have another pshat. Tachi kamar. That's what it's saying. How do you know that you can make the 3 generations above like the 3 generations below? What's going on? Nemer lamata zima, nemer lamala zima. It says by the bottom zima, and it says by the top zima. Ma lamata shleisha deris. Just like going down, it's 3 deris. Aflamala shleisha deris. So to going above is 3 deris. Ma ba'inish asalamata kalmala. Just like by the einish, it made the bottom like the top. Apaz haranami asalamala kalmata, it made the top like the bottom. Okay, this is a little more complicated than it seems. Yeah, what's going on over here? Rashi, who's talking over here? Abaye is talking. Abaye is talking about when it says lamala and it says lamata, it means okay, so you have a problem over here. What's the problem? You have you have by the pasuk says Ervas isho bitloy segala es basmanov es basman v'loy siglar savasa shareim in It says a woman, her daughter, her granddaughter, you're not allowed to do it. Nothing about the einish, only what you're not allowed to do. And then it says a different pasuk, Vesha shigachas isha ves ima, marries takes a woman and her mother going upwards, and zima hivesh shreifa, you have shreifa. So you know shreifa, but it doesn't say you're not allowed to do it. So one place it says the einish, one place it says the ashara, one place it's talking about the generations under his wife, one place it's talking about the generations above his wife. So what's going on over here? So Abaye says this is what the Bryce is saying, that it says by the generations upward zima, and it says by the generations downward zima. So we say just like by the einish, which is the place where it says the shreifa. We say we learn from the zima that you make the bottom generations going down like the top ones. So too we say that by the other way that we learn the mother-in-law's mother also, and they all have, and they don't have an azhara. We learn out the azhara from that also from zima. In other words, basically, the Rashi reads the brisa like this, or Abayesh reads the brisa like this. The brisa says, how do you know that you make above your wife like below your wife for 3 generations both ways? And the answer is because it says, but when talking about above your wife, it says zima, and it's when it says below your wife, it says zima. And the pasuk says that the below generations are like the above generations. By the below generations, it says bas bita and bas bana are like her daughter. So too, you say that the generations above your wife, also the mother-in-law and the mother-in-law's mother will also be included. And from what? From that limud. So we're adding a generation that the pasuk doesn't say beforish, right? Because by going up, the pasuk mafurish only says one generation. It says your wife and her mother, right? So now we're saying, well, just like over there, by going down, it's 3 generations. Going up, it's also 3 generations, and that all of them get streifa. And where do you see the azhara that going up will be asr? Just like going down is going to be asr, going up will also be asr. And that's how he puts Shtel Havek, the whole sugya, makes it all make sense. Now we'll do a teaser because I don't think we're going to finish in time. Ravashi gets a little complicated. Ravashi Amar La'ilam Keduktani. Ravashi says no. If you're doing that, you have to change the girsa in the brisa, like we said, right? He wants to say no. It's straight out. Umay lamata be'isr, and lamata means lamala be'isr. Lamata means something that's less asr because it's further away, and lamala means something that's more asr because it's closer. And that's how Rav Ashi is going to learn the sugya. But like I said, we're going to stop over here. So Be'ez Hashem, tomorrow you're on your own. I'm on my own, and then on Tuesday, Mr. Hashem will pick it up in Government Bays about 10 lines from the bottom by the 2 dots.
So back and forth, you can track. How do you do this with that?